Hello everybody, I'm Leslie Frank. Welcome to Frank Family Vineyards on this gorgeous Saturday in Calistoga, California. We are so excited to be here this afternoon. This is an event, a virtual event that we have been planning for months. And we have some very special guests, but the most important guest is somebody by the name of Jack Arnold, and he is with the Big Green Egg. You know, those green things that you grill on? He is a pitmaster, not a grill master, he's a pitmaster. He'll explain why in a minute. But also with us today, we have Liam Garrity, our Director of Hospitality, who's gonna walk us through some amazing Frank family wines as Jack cooks steaks from Cow Steaks. That's Cow with a K, K-O-W Steaks, who've been so generous to send us these amazing tomahawks and fillets, and Jack's gonna grill those up on the Big Green Egg. We've got Todd Graff, our winemaker and general manager here today. Todd's gonna talk about the process of making wine. Actually, he's gonna talk a little bit about that. He's really just the sous chef here for Jack Arnold. And of course, we've got some people here. My husband, Rich Frank, founder and owner of Frank Family Vineyards, and Bob Kerrigan, a very special friend who joined us today from GQ. From GQ, as you can tell. No, not really. He's here all the way from Vegas. He's the better half of our brand ambassador in Las Vegas, our Southwest region, Kelly Kerrigan, who's also here in the background. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Liam to talk about wines and steak and chat with Jack and put Todd to work.
All right, thank you, Leslie. Hi, everybody. Great to have you all joining us today. As Leslie mentioned, we're joined by a special guest, Jack Arnold, coming all the way from Davidson, North Carolina. We're going to be tasting 3 of Frank Family's wines, our 2015 vintage Blanc de Blanc, the 2017 vintage RHF Rutherford Cabernet Sauvignon, and then from the S&J Vineyard, our Petite Sirah 2017 vintage. Todd Graff, winemakers, joining us to talk a little bit about those wines, how they taste, and tasting notes, where the vineyards are and how they're coming together. And Jack's going to be grilling these wonderful cow steaks. Jack, introduce yourself to our friends here watching today.
Thank you so much, Liam, Rich, Leslie, Frank Family. Thank you all so much for having me. My name is Jack Arnold. As Liam said, I am from Davidson, North Carolina. Barbecue is something that's been in my blood for many years, since I was 9 years old, and I learned from my father. And just being here on this awesome 4th of July weekend in such a beautiful setting, there's no better way to do 4th of July weekend. So we're gonna grill up an American Wagyu tomahawk from my friends at Cow Steaks. We're gonna grill up 4 filet mignon, American Wagyu as well. We're gonna break them into our teriyaki filet lettuce wraps. It's gonna be awesome flavors, great summer flavors, and we're really excited to do this. So, Brother Todd, thanks for pairing some wines with these too, my man. So,
all right.
Rocking and rolling. First thing we're gonna do, since the tomahawk is weighing in approximately, I think it said 3.2 pounds, we're gonna go ahead and put that on first. As you can see, that's just got some dynamic marbling in there, which is gonna cook down really nice, some great flavor. So, we're gonna start this off. Some instant smoke and sizzle.
Just like that.
Summer flavor that we love so much.
So no salt, no pepper on it right now?
I'm letting the natural flavor of this beef shine through more than anything, because we are going to be pairing it with some of our partners from Point Reyes Cheese. They sent some of their Bay Blue cheese, which is my favorite in the world. We're going to let that be the only flavor that you're going to need with this steak. The natural beef butters in that tomahawk is going to shine more than anything.
Now, Jack, a lot of our audience today has participated with this package by having Cow Steaks send cuts of these filet mignons and tomahawks to their homes.
Absolutely.
Tell us about Cow Steaks, how you got hooked up with them, where they're set up.
Well, they're set up out of Southern Iowa. John Urbana, the founder and owner, is a very good friend of mine. I've been with them since January 1st of this year. It's quite frankly the finest American Wagyu beef that I've tasted. I love supporting them. I love what they're all about. They seem to be about the vibe. So we are very, very grateful that they sent this extraordinary beef for us to feature today and let us all enjoy.
Very nice. And we're working a little backwards because we want to get that tomahawk going. It's a thicker cut. It's going to take a little while.
Exactly.
But we're going to do an appetizer of filet mignon as well. Is that right?
Correct. The goal is to have the appetizer with the filet mignons done before the tomahawk is done as well. So because that one is such a thick cut of meat and these are a little bit thinner, that's why we started with the tomahawk, and we're going to go and drop these on in just a minute. They'll probably take 10-15 minutes max with just a couple minutes to rest before we slice them and form the wraps. And hopefully by the time we form those wraps, the tomahawk will be ready. Just let that rest and hit it with blue cheese and get that going.
Tomahawk will be coming along.
All day.
Now, folks, we got a real opportunity here with Jack being our guest. Those of you watching at home, you know how we do it at our Frank Family Vineyards virtual tastings. We love to hear from the audience watching along with us. So if you have questions about the meats that we're preparing, about Jack's technique on the big green egg, feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat section. Our marketing manager, Marissa McCann, is with us as usual today, and she'll be monitoring that chat and bringing those questions on air to us for Jack to answer, and of course for Todd to answer, because when it comes to it, nobody knows more about these wines than our winemaker, Todd Graff. Todd, why don't you introduce us to the first wine we're going to be doing?
Great, thanks, Liam. Jack, welcome.
Friend. Absolutely, thank you so much,
fun.
Todd.
Yeah, no, I hope to learn a lot today from this. But we're doing our 15 Blanc de Blanc, so what's kind of fun here is our sparkling wine is going to be the oldest wine we taste today. So from the 2015 vintage, from our Lewis Vineyard Chardonnay vineyard down in Carneros, 4 years on the yeast. So we've talked about this a lot in my explanations of sparkling wine. It goes through a secondary fermentation. So we make a still wine in 2015. We bottled that in 2016 with more yeast, fermented in the bottle, rested for 4 years. So you can really get the crispness and the richness of this. And I think it's going to go great with the carrot, the lettuce. It'll be bright, and it's warm out. It's about 85 out here now. And so it's warm, and this is going to be really refreshing. So this is serious sparkling wine from our vineyard in Carneros.
And I think, Todd, we're also going to find something a little unusual today, something I'm really excited about, because when we think about red meat, which is what we're doing today, you know, we're eating red meat, and obviously it goes without saying that red wine and steaks go great together. But I'm really excited to see how the fresh acidity and that energy that this sparkling wine is bringing, I'm excited to see how that pairs with not just the vegetables that we have for the lettuce wraps, but also with some of that marbleization from these great cow steaks, because I think we overlook sparkling wine as a food pairing wine, specifically when we're talking about red meat. But the marbleization, some of the oils coming out of that steak, I think are going to be really cut nicely by the acidity of the sparkling wine. That's going to be great. Now I want to check in with the CEO and the personal security. Rich, Frank, and Bob, how you fellas doing?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to figure out how to keep that smoke from walking through.
We just put a fan.
Rich found himself in the smokiest seat in the barbecue. I think someone's always got to get that on every barbecue day.
All that we've done, I finally got my ultimate job. Sit here and wait to taste the food.
This is how it's always
perfect.
For 28 years, Rich, would you say this is pretty much how you've been running this winery?
It's hard to believe that this is 28 years this weekend.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
For those of you not familiar with the history of Frank Family Vineyards, our winery opened to the public 4th of July weekend, 1993. So not only is this a special day for America and the freedoms that we enjoy in America and remembering those freedoms, but it's also a special day here at Frank Family Vineyards, a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate our time here. Making wine and sharing those wines with wonderful people. Todd's been with us since 2003.
Yes.
That's a long stretch.
A good chunk of those.
Good chunk of those years. 18 years, Todd.
Yeah. So it's great.
He came when he was 12 years old.
Thank you. Yes. I disagree that that's all Rich does. Sometimes he sits around and waits for a drink, not just the food. Yes.
I was trying to be PC.
Well, if you don't mind, I must say it's about time to go ahead and put these filet mignon on. So
all right,
I'm going to go ahead and drop those on. And you did, sorry about the plume of smoke, Rich. That's just coming right in front of you.
We've got the fan here to blow.
I was reaching for a bad joke. That's what I was doing.
What's good about the big green egg, what I love so much, is we're actually using that smoke as a seasoning. Another reason why we didn't need to season the steaks. If I do season these steaks, I usually just do one side only. We don't want to oversalt the steaks because, you know, they work for 4 cold winters to raise these cattle and to actually get them to us, so we don't want to disrespect the meat by oversalting it. So in that case, we're using the smoke as the seasoning, and it's time to go ahead and throw some fillets on.
You look out. Now, flipping, not flipping, what's your strategy, Jack? Because again, this is one of those things where you can hear every which answer you want, just depending on what websites you read and what books you look at.
That's true.
Do you like to flip the meat?
I'm constantly flipping the steaks to make sure I get the crust that I'm desiring more than anything. Burgers, no. I don't flip the burgers more than one time. And I like cast iron so that you get that firm crust all over
good sear on it.
Exactly. And you can do that with steaks too. I love cast iron steaks. But the the key is, more than anything, to get the crust. You want the desired internal temperature. If you've gotten the internal temperature that you want, but not the crust, that's when you leave the lid open and let the fire raise, just do the crusting for you so it doesn't cook the internal temperature of the meat anymore.
All right, good
tip.
Good tips, good pointers.
That's what we do.
Jack, did you grow up barbecuing?
I actually learned about barbecue when I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
My father taught me, I was third grade, first time I saw charcoal grilling with him, and I was wondering what it was because, gas grilling was what I was used to seeing. Then when we finally used the charcoal pit, I was like, Dad, what's this? What are we doing? He said, son, that's how we cook in Texas, because he was born and raised in South Texas. So that was a great way for me to learn. And I'll tell you, once you start the charcoal fire flavor, it's really hard to go back to anything else. So it's relatively addicting, and you get to play with fire. So what's wrong with that?
These big green eggs, they got a real footprint in the American Southeast. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi. You see a lot of them. Texas, you see a lot of them. But this is a brand that's available all around the country, and people can use this. I mean, you can bring that Texas barbecue right to your home wherever you are.
You bring it right to your home. You bring it to parties, events, 4th of July live demos. You can do whatever you want with these big green eggs. They're big international as well.
Oh, so that's great.
The executive chefs everywhere that we've introduced these to, they love them. They're enjoying them. The crowd seems to love the food. They love the smell that's in the air when they're enjoying themselves. So it's more than barbecue. It's a way of life because you can do so much on it. And there's no other way that I like to grill. I mean, I have 4 of them in my backyard for a reason.
And I'm a fan of yours, Jack. I follow your Instagram. Folks, if you don't follow Jack's Instagram, you have to, because, I mean, it takes the love of food to the next level. But I've seen in your setup, they don't just sit like this. They're actually kind of more stationary on a system. Is that right?
Correct. They're in the modular nest system by Big Green Egg, which means they're sitting in a table that it has a shelf underneath so the bottom rests, and it's also on some caster wheels. So
you can roll it around.
Exactly, so you can roll it around. The way that I've got it, it has a modular insert table in between them. So it has acacia wood inserts, so you can kind of stack them as shelves. So I have my 2 green eggs on the outside with my insert table in the center, and then I have a cabinet table and another large green egg right next to that.
Why do you need 4? Do you ever get them all going at the same time?
It's a lot of fun to get them going at the same time, but if you knew some of my friends and the way that they throw down food, 1 green egg is not enough. So, and now that I have a little girl as well myself, she loves spending time with me out there while I'm grilling. So
that's great.
Hopefully we'll have someone to hang with me for years while I'm out there grilling. So.
Yeah.
So do you do pizzas on these too?
I do. I haven't done them in a while, but it's one of my favorite things to do. You can really crank this thing up to at least 800 degrees and get some real high heat going. But when it comes to pizza, you want to have that pizza stone. You don't want to torch the bottom of the dough. So you put the pizza stone on, do indirect fire all around it, get your brick oven, wood-fired oven-style pizza right there.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Exactly, it's awesome.
Should we check in on things?
Yeah, let's check in and see how we're doing right now. We got a bunch of smoke right there. So these are, they're cooking down real nice. I got my little trusty ThermoWorks ThermoPin. Thank you, ThermoWorks, for always taking care of me. So these are still at 75 degrees. Those are very, very rare still. But as you can see, when they're raw, that's absorbing all the smoke flavor, which is why you don't want to sear it first.
Okay.
Because you're essentially putting a block with that crust all around the meat, and therefore you can't really absorb the smoke flavor. You have to have the steak raw to absorb all that smoke flavor.
All right.
And then we can check the crust on that tomahawk, as you see.
And are you just going for the crust right now?
Right now, I'm doing everything on the tomahawks. It's a lot thicker. We're going for the crust as well as the internal temperature. But these have a little bit more ways to go, so we've got them timing pretty well right now, I must say, my friend. So we'll close this and let them keep cooking.
That looks amazing.
There we go.
Certainly a great party that we're having here today at Frank Family Vineyards. Not our first party by any means, and not our last either.
No, definitely.
We're looking forward to welcoming guests back to the property for our special events, our club members. We're also seeing guests every day here at the winery, offering tastings outside, but with the lifting of the restrictions that California's had in place, we also have opportunities to welcome our old friends back inside too. So if you have a trip planned coming out to Napa Valley anytime in the next few months, anytime this year, we look forward to seeing you here. Leslie, you've been a part of a lot of these great parties here. Any particular favorites on property?
Well, I have to say our 25th anniversary party, which was 3 years ago, was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a special one, and that was the year that we introduced the Owner's Blend.
Great bottle
in Magnum
of wine.
only, and for those of you who attended that party, it was, I think it was a pretty fun party, and well, again, we look forward to to many more, and hopefully the 30th, which isn't too far away.
It's
right?
really not. Just 2 years away.
Just 2 years away. So, Jack, I'm curious. We call you the Pitmaster, and I love that term. I'm not really sure why you're a Pitmaster and not a grill master, but I go with Pitmaster.
It's totally fine, Mrs. Frank. Actually,
Oh, no, please call me Leslie. Mrs. Frank was my mother-in-law.
My father was from Texas. It's only out of respect.
Right.
You know, I learned that at a very young age. So with that and military school, there was
It's
no.
kind of like when you call me ma'am.
I call my best friends sir and ma'am, and they say the same
but
thing.
I'm
So
not your mother.
again, it's only out of
I'd
respect.
be more like your sister than your mother, but anyway.
The difference between basically pit masters and grill masters is essentially the pit masters are more barbecue specialists. They're doing more low and slow, brisket, ribs, sausage, wings, pork butts, you know, and that's kind of how I started originally. So I would say pit master fits me more, but I do enjoy more than anything, and I'm kind of known for grilling the steaks and the burgers as well. So whatever you want to call it, it's just cool to be in that title of recognition. So I'm really, really blessed by that. So we're looking at the filet mignon right now, just to kind of switch gear. I just want to make sure, yeah, they're catching a lot of good smoke flavor. See, I've got them towards the back of the grill where the flame is not quite as hot, so that won't really cook them too fast and won't make the meat too tight. So this way it'll be a nice kind of a reverse sear method.
What's that about? Tell me a little bit more about that, Jack. Indirect heat versus direct heat. So did you set the coals in the beginning in a certain way so that one half would be hotter?
No, we actually just put the heat in the front half where I put the charcoal starters.
All right.
It catches towards the back, like it catches the whole diameter, so it does heat the grill. But since we started in the front, that's going to be the hottest part. So that's why I have the tomahawk in the front and the fillets in the back. So
these
that
are
is
things
the
you got to know.
zone.
Yeah, these are things you got to know when you're grilling at home. This it takes a lot. It takes a lot to know it.
It does.
manage
It's a lot of practice.
If you manage the airflow, how long will that charcoal last?
Oh, I would say if you're doing direct grilling right now, and I've got it trimmed down to about 3/4 of an inch, almost 1 inch open at the bottom and 1/2 inch on the top. I started this a little over an hour and a half ago, and we've got a lot of fire left. We probably got 4 more hours, maybe 5 more hours out of this.
Nice.
So that's the good thing about this. You'll have fire for a very long time. And when you put your convector in there, your plate setter, you're going to add a lot more time. I'd say the most I've gotten about 30 hours of fire one time when we have filled up the extra large with charcoal and put the plate setter on there. We finished the pork butt after 16 hours and realized we had a lot left. So we just put another one on. Reload. Just cruised on through until they had 250 degrees. So it rides at 250 really well.
Oh, it does. And you just shut it all down and
when you're done, all you're going to do is shut that lid, shut the bottom vent, and you're going to be good to go.
You're going to coast it.
That's it. You're just going to rock.
Right on. I want to take a quick minute and check in with Frank Family's marketing manager, Marissa McCann, who's been hanging with the Zoom crew, watching from home, checking in. And Marissa, any words coming from our guests today?
Yes, hi everyone. We have quite a few of you on with us today. So I'm going to read a couple of comments. Krista Carberry is here today, one of our most loyal viewers. She's actually visiting us from Massachusetts, which is happy 4th of July. We have Jim and Jonna. They are joining us from Waco, Texas. They're saying the meat looks great. Of course, pairing it with Frank Family wines. And a couple questions. The number one question we're getting right now is the temperature of the egg. And Jack, I believe you mentioned this before, but maybe you can kind of go over it again for everybody at home.
Absolutely. Since we're not doing reverse searing on this right now, we've got the temperature sitting at 400 degrees. So that's a great temperature for your direct grilling if you're doing a tomahawk or if you're doing the fillets. Or since we're doing both of them at the same time, I found 400 is good. You can go as low as 375 or as high as 425. You got a good window in this thing. So great question.
Great question.
Do you want to explain the reverse sear method?
Sure. The reverse sear method's it's actually really simple, and it's exactly how it sounds. You're starting off by smoking the meat at a very low temperature, 275 or even as low as 250. You're getting the internal temperature that you want through the smoke, through the low temperature. And then once you're done, you've got the internal temperature that you want, 120, 125 for your medium rare. You're going to pull your plate setter, or if you've got 2 different zones, you're just going to bring it over to the hot zone, leave the lid open, and let the fire rage to get the crust as high as you want, and it's going to seal in all the juices that you just work so hard to preserve. So
Nice.
cool. It's a great method.
That is.
Any thick steak, anytime you have a steak, especially like a tomahawk, I mean, normally you're going to reverse sear that, but I think this is going to be fine. But yeah, the thicker, more likely.
Now, do you ever use the sous vide method and then, or you?
The sous vide is a great method. A lot of people use it. I don't personally use it because you can't get smoke flavor.
Okay.
With the sous vide because.
Great point.
Yeah, I like to absorb that barbecue flavor more than anything from that. So.
And then you just give that the char after.
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly. If you do sous vide, get the temperature you want, then just bring it over to a fire or a cast iron skillet. You can do the crust that way.
Yeah, cool.
Which is a great method to do. I love that method.
Are you picking up some tips, Rich? I know you're the grill master here.
Yeah, but if you use a regular grill, you can't get what you can get here. So you automatically have to sear it on the outside.
Correct.
Bob
as long as you have
taking
the
my
internal
glass.
temperature of 120 to 125, that's the medium rare that you're going to want more than anything, Mr. Frank. So yes, sir.
I like it blood rare.
I will give you the bloodiest
That
steak you've
comes
ever.
from my.
You'll be so happy.
Keep on giving me drinks here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That comes from my dad being in the wholesale meat packing
Yes,
business
sir.
when I grew up.
That's correct. You were
And
explaining that
that's
to me.
How we ate it. I used to say, when they say, how rare do you like it? I used to say, so that if you put a Band-Aid on it, it's got a 50-50 chance of recovering.
I can get down with that, my friend.
Leslie doesn't like it that way.
No.
That's not the way we're going to do it,
No,
ma'am.
I'm from Canada, and I think my mother, who's up in Canada, may be watching. Sorry, Mom, I love you, but this was not, cooking on the grill was not your strong point. Everything was overcooked, so I like my meat well done. And I blame my mother for that, but it's okay.
So
I
nothing's
do love a
changed in
good
that
steak.
then,
Nothing's
right?
changed.
You like what
So
you
I
like,
tried,
you know?
I
You like what you like.
It's your upbringing, right?
You like what you like. I got to tell you, I love this Blanc de Blanc, Todd. So much about what Todd does with wine is about balance and the balance he's able to strike. The great thing about the term balance is that it's never always the same. Balance happens between two components, but those components are changing between each and every one. For me, Todd, the balance in this sparkling wine is between the fresh acidity and citrus and fruit tones of the Chardonnay grape and then the toastiness underneath.
Oh, that's great. And Chardonnay has such structure. And this is made from Chardonnay. So you've all had our still Chardonnay for sure. If you haven't had this is same vineyards, just made a different style. And Chardonnay has length and structure and intensity in it. And this fruit and wine just holds up so well.
But it's also rested for a significantly longer period of time than I would say your typical Napa or California sparkling wine.
Yeah, it's 4 years on the yeast. So that would be reserve champagne.
Anywhere else,
Yeah,
right?
yes, yes.
Absolutely. If you're tasting this at home and enjoying this Blanc de Blanc with us, save a little bit. Because again, Jack's coming close to the end of these filet mignons. You're cooking filet mignons as well too. Typically, we don't think about pairing sparkling wines, but quite honestly, the versatility of a sparkling wine at the table is almost unmatched in the wine world. You can pair sparkling wine with so many different types of cuisines and in so many different ways, and a lot of it has to do with exactly what Todd's saying, that acidity of the Chardonnay grape. When acid comes in contact with oil, there's a balancing act. There's a juxtaposition. The richness of the foods we love offset and balanced by the fresh energy and brightness of the citrus tones in this Chardonnay-based sparkling wine. That's one of my favorite things to do. If you're watching this and seeing one of our shows for the first time, we love to talk about great wine. We love to talk about great food. We love to talk about how well they go together. So Jack is a perfect guest for us today.
We'd love to talk about the people out here.
That's true. We got a great day out here today, guys. We got a lot of fun guests joining us, probably from all over today.
The tomahawk looks like it could feed everybody.
That's right. We're going to slice that up pretty soon.
It'll feed 8 of us pretty well, my friend.
It's got to go through the offensive line first.
Speaking of offensive lines, Jack, you do a little bit of work with the NFL. Is that right?
I have some very good friends who play for the Carolina Panthers, and
All right.
they've got big green eggs, and they want to learn how to do a little bit more cooking, so we get into that a whole lot.
That's fine. How are you, sir?
It's okay.
Glad to have you here today tasting our wines.
But yeah, they're all big green egg fans, and
Yeah.
we love doing the barbecue.
Well, they love
with them,
good
and-
meat.
Yes, sir, and blessed.
And
to
they don't eat much, do they?
If they come over and I'm planning on cooking 5 pounds
You
of
got
food,
all
I
four.
better run and get 10
You
more
got all
pounds.
4 green eggs going.
It's a great relationship. It's way past barbecue and football right now. We're just dear friends, and we love being able to hang out together while we get time before they really gear up for the season that's coming up right
That's
around
right.
the corner.
That's geez, Louise. That's right.
Exactly.
Football's coming right up. You're going to be a busy man during that season, huh?
We're all going to try to be, but we're just glad to have football back. Everyone's going to be at full capacity, so we're glad this is going in the right direction. For
That's
us all.
great.
So yes, sir. So let's check in
Marissa,
on these
yep.
real quick. I want to make sure. Sorry to interrupt you there, Liam.
That's
Let's
fine.
see. There we go. This one is ready because this one's
Cool.
the way Rich Frank just described it. He
Nice
likes his
and rare.
steak.
And
This is
then-
going to look great.
Jack, do you want to talk a little bit about
There we
the
go.
old chef's punching the skin, hitting the knuckles, and and if you don't have a great thermometer?
The knuckle test is a very familiar way. I've done that many times, but right now, you know, with the pandemic and everything, right now I'm just using the thermometer, just getting dialed in to say the least.
But
This is my favorite thing with the ThermoWorks ThermoPen. But if you do the knuckle test, all you want to do is just have a little bit of spring back to make
Okay.
sure it's at the medium rare. If it's really, really tight,
You got too far.
late. Too late.
a little too late.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the worst thing about steaks is that,
No.
you know, if it's a little bit too rare, you know, you can
Right.
always put it back on and
Yeah,
cook it
yeah,
more.
yeah.
But once it's overcooked,
I
you just
gotta.
can't do it.
No way to walk it
It's
back.
a lot
That's
with
correct.
winemaking. You can add more. It's hard to take away.
That's
you
the
know,
fact.
so once you've had too much, that's what it is.
And a similar method with the green egg, which people need to know. It's very easy to raise the heat on it, but it takes a little bit longer to bring the heat back
Yeah.
down.
Sure.
So always remember that: start low and then just creep up higher. So
You can always add. It's hard to take away.
here we go. So let's see how these other fillets are doing. We've got one of them ready.
And then
That one's
how
at
long do you
125, so
suggest resting?
I like the steaks. Well, the smaller the steaks,
Those look
the
great,
less
Jack.
resting time. Thank you, my friend. If you have, I believe these fillets are 8 ounces each. So honestly, I just let those rest about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Let the meat
So almost
relax a little
50,
bit.
almost 1-to-1.
Yeah, essentially. But the tomahawk, I'm probably gonna let that rest about 20 minutes.
Yeah. So again,
you want that to
almost
be-
almost 1-to-1 though. You cooked it for 20, rested for 20, plus or
Exactly.
minus.
Close enough, essentially. So that's the key that everyone needs to remember with their steaks and barbecuing is the resting stage. I can't stress that enough. I mean, I've done it myself. You get hungry, you get antsy, you cut into it a little early.
Yeah, like
and-
people have kids
It's
and
bleeding
stuff.
everywhere, right?
Exactly. It's that or the juices just run all
Juices
over
just
the board,
running.
and when you bite into the steak, it's still really tight. Well, that's because you didn't let it rest. So
Yeah.
it is key. I can't stress that enough. Let
Good,
it rest.
good comment.
Please.
Gotta let it rest. Marissa, I want to take a minute. Jack's letting these steaks rest, and I want to check in with our audience at home. I actually have a question I want to pose, and of course, those of you watching, you know the drill. We're going to ask a couple trivia questions. The first correct answer to be written in the chat section is going to be the recipient of a $100 Frank Family Vineyards gift card supplied by our marketing team, Marissa McCann. Here's the question, and I'm going to make this one a softball. This is a celebration day, right? So this is going to be 80 miles an hour right across the plate, easy to hit. What year did Frank Family Vineyards open to see guests of the public? First answer in the chat's going to get this one.
Look at that.
All right, Philip DeFord, 1993. He answered that very quickly.
That's right. That, like I said, that was an easy one. If you don't know that one, I don't know if you've been watching.
And you want that at 125
Rich,
also.
tell us about
Same.
what was going on in your mind
125?
4th of July weekend,
For the
1993.
medium rare, which is pretty good, and then let it
We were
rest.
in a
Yeah.
That
little,
way it's medium rare,
I
medium,
don't
and
even
not
want to
too
call it
red.
a shack.
So
It was sort of an old trailer that was in.
No, it was a shack.
It was a
It was a
shack.
shack.
It was a
All right, I'll
shack.
give it a shack.
Yeah. The bushes were holding it up.
Yeah, we had one. Nothing was straight. Everything was on an angle.
Especially
we
the
were happy
employees.
If anybody came by, and I just hoped that some people would come by.
Yeah.
And they did.
They did.
And they went home and told their friends.
Right.
And they came back.
It's great.
And it was something we opened so I could make some wines. I could have some wine made to give my friends at Christmas time, basically. And it just grew from there by word of mouth. I never expected to be here with you, relaxing in a chair, watching,
With your friend Bob.
with my
Security.
friend Bob, who keeps on handing me more and
You've
more
earned
wine.
this, my friend.
And doing something like this. First of all, there were no cameras like this, and the world has really changed. But it's amazing how time flies, and it's been just a dream to watch this thing grow, and how people have so responded to the wines, mainly because of how good they are with Todd making them.
Absolutely.
But it's just grown, and we have a great following to see behind us.
And they're all hungry. They're
Yes,
waiting
they're all
for
waiting.
food.
And
Let's
we
not-
didn't promise any food today.
That's right. We didn't make it known.
Maybe,
They may-
maybe to a few
They
people.
may get a surprise.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Jack, you think we're ready to slice them?
No, we still need a few more minutes,
All right.
unfortunately, Liam. So
Rest.
Rest. I know that's me. All right. That's why my steaks are always dry when I eat them.
Patience.
But I will, my friend, start forming these wraps because I cannot wait to see what Mr. and Mrs. Frank think about this. So,
Who are they?
I beg your
Who are
pardon.
they?
I beg your pardon, Rich and
Mrs.
Leslie, to
Frank.
see what they say about this. So these are going to be
That's the
outstanding.
problems with hanging around with Southerners. They're too polite.
They're very polite,
Nobody else
absolutely.
is that polite.
We're not complaining. No.
It's okay. It's my honor more than anything. So, this is
just
honestly
wanna know-
one of my favorite summer dishes. So to be able to present it to you guys is it's very special
I'm
to me
excited
personally.
and getting hungry as I smell
Yeah, I
everything.
know. It
This-
smells great.
The vineyard is your baby. The steaks are mine.
There
So
you
this
go.
is it's my honor to be able to do this
And
for
the
you
two
guys.
complement each other.
They really do. Steak and wine
definitely.
are they were meant to be, I must say.
Right.
So.
You want to start talking about what we're going to drink with it?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna. Like I said, I
You
want
want to stay with this?
I want to stay with the sparkling wine. We've got RHF Cabernet Sauvignon. We've got 2017 vintage S&J Petite Sirah. If you want to at home open up one of these two bottles, we can absolutely do that. But I was excited to see, and we can actually kind of pair with both. Next, the first red wine we're going to be doing is the RHF. So RHF Cabernet Sauvignon, Rutherford, Hillside, and Fleur. The RHF also happens to be Richard Harvey Frank's initials. But this wine made from grapes grown on the Hillside Vineyard in Rutherford, Frank Family Vineyards, Winston Hill, and then married to or blended with fruit from the Valley Fleur. Todd, in that process, what are you looking at in these two distinctly similar yet different environments for Cabernet growth?
Yeah, so as Liam said, two different vineyards here, both owned by Rich and Leslie. Winston Hill, the flagship, Hillside, rocky soil. Benjamin, just a driver away. I used to say a 9-iron, but it's really not.
We're
It's a
getting
driver.
older.
Yeah. It's maybe a driver and a driver from the deck too, but just across the creek. And Valley floor soils, a little richer soils, but predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet centric for sure. About a little bit, maybe 2% Petit Verdot and maybe a splash of Cabernet Franc in here. 50% new French oak barrels, aged for almost 2 years. From the 2017 vintage, and right now it's just silky. This is just that silky, gonna go with the juicy steak really well.
We've been hearing that a lot, Todd. This 17 vintage is drinking phenomenally well in the tasting room, and every time I share this wine with guests, you know, I can almost count on hearing that response. They say this for a Cabernet Sauvignon, a big, full-bodied Rutherford Cab, to move with such exquisite suppleness and silkiness that it's not very tense, it's not terribly firm, but at the same time, it's generous in its richness and its flavor. So often you find Cabernets can be either one or the other, intensely flavorful and full-bodied, but also then firm and tense, or relaxed around the edges, but lacking a certain amount of depth. And you really strike the balance so well right here.
And what's great about that, this is gonna last for a long time. So this isn't just for today. This
Right.
is for 10, 15 years down the road easily. So, and it'll gain more complexity. Jack looks like he makes his wraps like I kind of blend. A little splash here, a little dollop.
A little science, a little artistry, right?
Hey, stay laser focused, my man. You know how I do. You gotta take the food seriously. So
I'm hoping that Leslie's watching closely.
I'm watching.
I
I'm watching.
think-
Tell us what you're doing here, Jack.
I think we can go ahead and slice these up
Yeah.
now.
All right,
If it's
dynamite,
okay with
my
you guys,
man.
y'all all
We're
right?
hungry.
So
We're hungry.
let's go ahead, and then you guys know that you two are getting the first one.
All right, the
first
I
two
do
coming up
value
right
your
here.
opinion, while we're here. So, as you can see, just to start off, I've taken just some lettuce leaves, put in some shredded carrots and some sliced up English cucumber. Now we're gonna go ahead and hit it with some of our American Wagyu filet mignon. I mean, you can just see that's just as juicy as you can get. I mean, that natural flavor is just unreal with these guys. So,
Jack,
We're
this
gonna
is
go
what
right
you
across.
excel at on your Instagram, the way you slice it, the way, how clean it is, and just how perfect that presentation is. Just fabulous.
And
Thank
can
you,
you
my
talk
friend. I do
about the
appreciate
grain
that.
slice
yes,
too?
great call. Always
Yes.
slice against the grain, people. If you slice with the grain, it tends to be a very, very chewy bite. So always go against it.
And
so it breaks
explain that a little bit, because even when I know to do that, I'm still tossing and turning on which way is the.
How do you see the grain?
So
from
I
the
was
outside?
looking personally the way the grains were running. You see how they were going kind of like diagonal
Yep,
like this?
yep, yep.
So I went right against it that way.
Yeah.
And therefore when you break it open, as you can see the grains running that way. So that's how you're gonna do it. We're gonna drop a couple of slices of this
Remember, I like the more well-done one.
You might.
I got another steak just to be safe.
Okay.
I'm
Cut-
just kidding.
cut
I'm just
scene
kidding.
number
There we
two.
go. And pieces for Leslie.
I got a medium right there for you, no sweat. So we're gonna hit it with a little bit of our teriyaki. You can use any teriyaki sauce that you want.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little glaze
That's
over
amazing.
there. A little garlic infusion.
Nice.
And that's already got enough sesame seeds in it, so I think we're all set.
Leslie, let me top you off with a little bit more Blanc de Blanc.
Well, okay,
For the
if you
pairing.
insist.
For the purpose of pairing, no other reason.
If you insist, wouldn't want to not have any wine to go with my
Here you go, Mrs. Leslie.
steak lettuce wrap.
Thank you, my friend.
Here you go, Jack.
Here we go. I'm gonna hand
Okay.
this to
Sure, and I'll pass
I'm
it down
going-
to
I'm going
Rich.
in
Here you
for
go,
it.
Rich.
This looks amazing.
There's a napkin right
What's
underneath
the
there
odds
for
I
you.
don't spill this on myself?
And white pants is a
I
tough
got
call.
the utmost confidence in you, my friend, so I do hope you enjoy that. And Liam, I do value your opinion.
No,
as well,
I'm going to
so
pass this one to Todd. Todd
There
is
you
the
go, Todd.
expert
Go for it, my
taster
guy.
here. He's
Let
got
me know
the
what you
palate
think.
that
Thank
runs
you.
the business.
It's a very simple
Okay.
summer dish. It only has 4 or 5 ingredients. That's all you need to do.
That's
and a lot of flavor
delicious.
goes a long way. Thank you so much, man.
This is the first steak I've ever had off a big green egg.
Do you taste the natural
I
smoke
do.
flavor
I
that we
do.
absorbed in
Get
that?
a lot of that smoke flavor.
And I noticed
It's amazing that you didn't add anything to the steak.
no seasoning.
No
Straight up,
seasoning at all.
Right out of the package, right onto the grill.
So for,
Simple as
for
that.
our audience at home cooking on a typical charcoal grill, are there types of charcoal that you would say this is going to give you some great flavor?
I still use the big green egg charcoal more
Okay,
than anything.
even if you don't
it's
have
got-
the egg.
It's got oak and hickory.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the natural flavor that I use for pretty much all of my meats anyway, so I love the big green egg charcoal. Personally, I don't think you need to use anything else. I mean, whether it's their Brazilian hardwood or their natural lump. Like I said, when I got 30 hours of charcoal at one time, that was from the big green egg charcoal. So big block, big lump charcoal, always get that.
Todd, how's that pairing working?
It's working great, but is the big grain green charcoal sold at local hardware stores like
sold
the egg is?
It's sold at Ace Hardware
Yep,
as well.
yep,
Exactly.
yep,
So yeah,
great.
you can get that anywhere. So absolutely.
No, this is great, and that
Thank you, sir.
that
Thank you.
cucumber pops with this sparkling wine too. Yes.
I think the cucumber is probably my secret touch to that because it has so much crunch in there as
Yeah.
well, which brings out that refreshing brightness that you're looking for in your summer dishes. But still using filet mignon, rich Wagyu filet mignon, I mean, you get that little bit of buttery flavor in there because it had all that natural marbling
Yeah,
inside.
my dad, that's where you only ate meat because it was the least expensive thing we could buy.
Yes, sir.
The business he was in always stressed, never throw salt, never throw any of those ingredients on when you start. Let the steak absorb that. And so many people just sit in their house and season it and keep it seasoned and cover it and put things on top.
It's a learning
To
experience
me,
for
that's
us
what
all.
you should do afterwards. If
Correct.
You go in and,
So this is really a
That's
case
correct,
where
sis.
less
Your dad
is
was right.
more, right?
I guess,
Thank you,
Less
ma'am.
is more.
Yes, exactly. A little bit goes a long way. Like I said, we just had a couple of ingredients in
Right.
there. Didn't even season the meat. As long as you got,
Again,
smoke flavor.
It's what I do and what Jack does. It runs the same path. If
We
you
take
get
it seriously.
but also yes, and we're dedicated to it. But if you got the best grapes, you have to do less to them.
Correct.
If you have good to mediocre grapes, you got to work them. So we do the same thing: buy good products and do less to them.
all right, I'll have 6 to go.
Jack, thank you
That's
for
an easy request.
man, that tomahawk is
I don't
coming
know.
along great.
I don't know if
we
there's
are.
anything better looking than that.
Wow.
That looks incredible.
That's yours, my friend.
Do you think that's at a good internal temperature?
It is. It's at 122 right now, and that's one thing people need to remember, and I
Yep,
failed
there's
to mention
another
this
good,
already, and I
yeah.
apologize. The steaks are going to go up a couple degrees once you pull them off, 3 to 5 degrees. So pull them like right what you want or a degree less, they're going to creep up to the temperature a few degrees higher. So yes, always remember that by all means.
So we're going to let this tomahawk rest. Jack's
we
going to
are.
slice up a little bit more of the filet mignon, and we're going to talk a little bit about S&J Vineyards Petite Sirah. This is from the 2017 vintage. We're going to pair both of these red wines. If you have them both open at home, I think this is going to be a lot of fun to taste these two wines side by side. Both big red wines, both well structured. One, I would say a little firmer and a little bit more muscular in that regard, and that would be the Petite Sirah. Todd, tell us a little bit about this wine.
Sure. Well, I like when you said muscular. I mean, this is where this Cabernet could be kind of a Porsche or Ferrari. This Petite Sirah is kind of like an American muscle car. It's a Mustang, a Camaro, or something like that. It's big. But this 17 vintage, surprisingly, is very balanced. A lot of blueberry, a lot of baked blueberry pie in this wine, and very silky, because Petite Sirah is anything but petite when you're making it. It's a strong grape. If we dropped a berry on this floor here, it would be stained for life. So as you can see, it's got just intense color. Again, blueberry pie, flavors and aromas, and this screams for big grilled meats.
Yeah, that's what I was looking forward to. When we sometimes talk about these big red wines and talk about the tannins in them, those tannins so well balanced, I think, in all Frank Family Vineyards red wines. But when there is a bit of structure in a great glass of red wine, it's fun to know and it's useful to know that energy becomes a part of the partnership between foods, specifically foods with a little bit more fat, a little bit more protein. You can try at home as you're grilling your steaks today, tomorrow, as you're making burgers and steaks on the grill for the 4th of July. You can see this wonderful relationship take form wherein the structure of the red wine balances the richness of the marbleization in the steak and the char and the proteins, at the same time that the presence of those components softens that energy in the wine and smooths that component of the wine out, making it feel just a little rounder on the palate.
One thing I forgot to talk about is the vineyard it comes from. So it's S&J Vineyard. It's east of Atlas Peak. So if you know Napa Valley proper, Atlas Peak's here. It's kind of at a diagonal east here, southeast of us, a little higher altitude. We grow Cabernet and Petite Sirah there, but we planted Zinfandel a few years back, and I think it's going to be dynamite for Zinfandel too. That's where our Petite Sirah comes from. High elevation over the hill. And so all Napa Valley. Yeah. Vineyard designated.
And that's only about 10 acres, right?
Oh no, Petite.
Petite,
Petite, it's like 6 acres.
Okay, even less.
Yeah.
So this is one of those wines, friends. This is one of those wines that, as a club member of Frank Family Vineyards, you know you're going to have an opportunity to get it. We send this in the fall shipment of our member program. Know that you've got a great, big, rich, full-bodied wine to pair with some of those holiday festive dinners. When there's a little bit left over, we get to share it in this capacity here at the tasting room, and I'm glad we had that chance today.
No, this is delicious.
Yeah.
Say something again.
Rich.
Because I remember Bob's sitting next to me, and when both of us lived in LA back a number of years, Bob used to keep in his garage a stack of the Petite Sirah.
A stack.
A stack. So whenever we
Cases,
got it in
cases.
A stack of cases, yeah.
But a stack is a technical term.
He would be able to grab a bottle to put in the car so when we could have it at dinner. It was,
Bob's been a friend.
Bob can speak.
Oh, he can?
He can pick up off your microphone.
Rich, I've been instructed to take care of your white hands.
Yes, I've been good so far.
Probably Leslie, but I'm not
I'm
sure.
keeping eating.
It's either going to be, drippings from the delicious steak or some red wine on those white pans. I guarantee it before the day's
If
out.
I get through it all, I'll be walking to the car and some bird will do something on me. But the white
let's
pants
hope
always.
Okay, Jack, you're slicing up the blue cheese.
I
the
am.
Point
I am
Reyes
slicing
blue
up a
cheese.
little bit of bay blue right now,
Liam.
and I'm going to put these
Those
crumbles
are the guests.
while the tomahawk is still warm.
Oh, this
Guys,
looks
for the
great.
tomahawk.
There we
Okay.
go. We are just
Some
putting
extra plates for the tomahawks.
a big bunch of the bay blue cheese just right on top.
Man, and are you going to put it back on the grill? Or you're just going to let
No,
it?
we're just going to let it rest right now.
I saw on Instagram you did what had to be like a blue cheese sauce of some kind.
Well, actually, what you do is you do put it back on the grill, and it forms like a, you can compound it with butter if you want, and
okay.
that melts it down really well. But this blue cheese is so creamy, you can just put it back on the grill for a minute or two, and it'll melt and spread all over.
Got it,
Can
got
we
it.
just slice up these steaks and I can take them into the crowd? I don't even think they need the lettuce wrap on it.
Sure.
I think it's so good on its own.
I say let's do that right now for sure.
We've got plenty of forks, and do you want to use the bamboo one?
I think I can put it all here, and we
think-
can do it on a napkin. What do you think?
Great.
Okay, I'll be heading out to
many-
those tables.
How many slices per plate, man?
I think people can put it all on the plate, and they can take one. I've got some forks here, and they can take one per person.
I think we
How's
can do that. Let me
Nice.
slice these last few.
While I'll tell you what, while Jack's slicing these steaks, I want to check in with our audience at home. I've got another great trivia question. We've mentioned a couple of names of Frank Family Vineyards properties so far on the broadcast today. So I'm going to put it out there to our watching audience today to please, and again, this would be for a $100 gift certificate from Frank Family Vineyards. Name the 4 physical vineyards that make up our property of Frank Family Vineyards. What are the 4 names of our vineyards? Marissa, this should be an easy one.
Takes longer to type for me.
It does. It takes a minute.
It is Lee Zimmerman, Benjamin, S&J, Winston Hill, and Lewis Vineyard.
That's right. Very good. What was that name again, Marissa?
Lee Zimmerman.
Lee Zimmerman. Congratulations, Lee. Marissa's going to be reaching out to you tomorrow with the information for your $100 gift certificate. That's right. So S&J, we talked about. This is all S&J.
100%.
Winston Hill, part of the RHF. Benjamin, the other half of that. And then the fourth in the portfolio, represented right here. So this is actually, there's trees in my way. Sorry, Leslie.
No, you move over because I'm going to go into the crowd.
All four of Frank Family Vineyards properties represented in today's tasting. I think that's really cool.
We need a van of white over here. Somebody help Leslie out.
Going into the crowd.
Yeah, somebody.
Lily, why don't you assist me?
Lily, why don't you
Lily's
help?
going to jump in.
Yeah, jump in.
I got Kelly here.
All right.
She's going to assist me. We're going to go into the crowd and give this delicious Wagyu filet mignon. Hi, folks.
I'm so proud.
This is great. Look at that. That's
Our
gorgeous.
friends here from
That
Walnut
looks great.
Creek. This is Grill Master
We'll get these
Jack
buddies out of
Arnold,
here.
Pitmaster Jack Arnold. Cook this on the big green egg.
They're
If
waiting
you
for
like
it.
Steak, take
One
a
of the
piece
things
of
you have
this
to
one
put up
right
with.
here.
Here's the best
part right here.
Same thing
Here,
in North
take a
Carolina,
piece.
same thing
No-
everywhere you go.
No
This is
worries.
grilled
We're
on
all
the
good.
green egg.
Wines
So-
are tasting
It's
great.
Wagyu beef
As
from
is the
cow
steak,
steaks.
but
It's going to be a great combination.
Enjoy.
yeah, no,
Got a
that
napkin
looks
there?
fantastic.
Okay.
It's
And
to
that
the
does.
point.
How many people will that
Another
feed?
splash of red
Because
wine
you know,
there.
you go out to dinner and they
Okay.
say a tomahawk for
Right,
two.
I'm going over.
You can
And
do
it
have
feeds
some
like
meaty
you can.
filet.
Yeah.
8 people
Okay.
Two with
try
leftovers.
this steak and
Exactly.
destroy it by any means
It's like,
because
what do you mean for two?
yeah,
That is
I mean
great.
that's
This is,
very hungry too.
Yeah. Your
This is
Panther
Wagyu
football
beef
players,
Filet,
Maybe
one
filet
each.
mignon, Wagyu beef.
and they eat with their hands.
Cooked
I
on the
was
big
saying when
green
my
egg
dad was in the
by
business,
Grill
they
Master
That's the
Jack
insisted
best
that you
Arnold.
cut the bone off
The
because
big-
nobody wanted to pay
I
for
got
the weight
dibs
of
on
the
that.
bone.
Oh, now it's
And now it's like the hottest
that's
thing
the
out
hottest
there.
thing. They can charge you extra when it's on the bone.
Yeah, we always wanted to eat closest to the bone that was still attached, but not the long part of the bone.
So Jack, you're separating the cap.
I am separating the cap because it's a different grain. We're
Yeah?
going to cut that completely
All right.
differently.
All right.
Oh,
We're
great.
going to go like that.
Yeah,
versus-
Bob Kerrigan's called it with that Petite Sirah.
Oh, so yeah, there's nothing better than the cap on the
And you see, since the
ribeye.
blue cheese is kind of melted down a little bit from the heat of the steak, we can kind of pat it down and kind of forms a nice little.
Just slide it off. Enjoy. Okay, we got a large group over here. Are you guys meat eaters? Okay. This is right off the grill. Big green egg, cooked on the big
It's about
green egg by
it's
Grill Master
in a town
Jack
like Vegas
Arnold.
where everything is about.
This
the
is
show
cow
and
steaks,
absolutely.
Wagyu.
I happen to think
Filet
that
mignon.
a steak and a good bottle of red wine is a healthy meal.
Here we go. I'm going to help you out here. There you
Thank
go.
you so much.
We can grab some more, but yeah. Take a piece.
Yes, absolutely. No question about it. This looks absolutely fabulous.
Go for it. There we go.
Now, how much of that?
That's our American Wagyu tomahawk
How?
with point raised bay blue cheese just melted down.
Beautiful.
Sliced out. Again, I think this was originally 3.2 pounds, maybe a little
It's
bit
lost
more.
a little bit, but not too much.
Nah, that's a very, very solid tomahawk, and I don't really think you see very many of them that are more than 4 pounds anyway. So
Not how it looks when I take it out.
that's all that matters, right?
And then you'll cut
Here
the
we
cap
go.
opposite.
Yes.
That's great to know.
Always remove the cap. I must say that's
We're gonna get a
Always
very,
remove
very
the cap. All right, here
crucial
our photographer today, Tubai, coming in right in close to see that for our audience at
My
home. That
guy
looks
is coming
fabulous.
in so
I'd
you
love
can
to hear
see how
Marissa
we're
from
doing
folks at
this.
home if anyone's cooking one of those big tomahawks
There
with
we
us
are.
today. Friends, anyone watching our show today cooking your tomahawk right now? I know we sent a bunch of them out.
Yeah, we have a lot of folks cooking along at home. We have Jim and Jonna who are enjoying some Frank Family Chardonnay in Sangiovese. They opened it for their Italian food tomorrow.
There it is.
Beautiful.
We have, let's see who else.
Hand that to you. sir.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you so much.
Very nice.
So many comments.
Now, will you
and
pour juice on that
questions.
sometimes?
Brian, who's joining us from Canada. Jack joining us from Dallas, Texas. We have Todd, we have a question for you. Kevin K
Oh, great.
wants to know how he can follow you on Instagram.
That's a great question. Marissa, let them know how they can follow me on Instagram.
I think it's Todd Wine. I think it's at Todd Wine. We'll send it out to everybody.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not very active
3
on
posts a
Instagram.
day, right?
Yes,
Isn't that what you
but
keep up?
Yeah. So, but that's my New Year's
And
resolution.
we've got
This is the ribeye.
for this crowd over over
And
here.
this is the ribeye cap right
The cap.
here.
Is the cap a fattier cut?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It's got
that's where the good
more
stuff is.
marbling. Yeah,
Steal
that's
me one of those.
You got it,
I'm
Todd.
very interested to know what Rich Frank
Here
thinks
comes
about that.
here comes a little. Here, Rich, I'm going to get you a knife. Apologies, sir. Here you go, my man.
I was trying to see if
This has got a little serration on it. I know you're the cap guy, Bob, so I'm going to hit you up good with this.
Take good care of that, man.
This meat is so flavorful.
By the way, I just want to say this is a good job right here.
Thank
This
you.
is fabulous.
I'm glad you said it because I agree with you as well.
We got to give it up to Cow Steaks. These are incredible Wagyu beefs. Wonderful cuts.
They have taken extraordinary care of
Dr. Kerrigan,
Let me tell you
there you are,
what's
my man.
good about it.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't look as rare as I described.
Yes,
The way
sir.
I normally like it. On
Yes,
the
sir.
other hand, it's got all the flavor that it had when I
This is the ribeye, Leslie. I'm going to hit you up right here. New plate for you.
The
Perfect.
steak.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
fabulous.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Frank.
normally if I would look at this, I would go,
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do
cook
that.
too much.
Whoa.
It's
But
way
it's
too
not.
much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You know what you
And
want to try? You
I
want to
always
try a little bit
dial
of
it in
this.
at the exact temperature, and we pulled that at 120. And I'm sure it crept up maybe 2 more degrees after that, but that means a lot to me, Mr. Frank. Thank you so much, sir. That's
Now the camera can go someplace else while I eat the rest of it.
we love doing what we do.
If you're at home enjoying this incredible steak, let us know. Let us know you're loving the steaks, loving the wine, and loving this show. What I love is when I take a bite of that rich steak, and you can see it, that, what did you call that? Buttery?
I called it a natural beef butter.
Natural beef butter. I've never
Exactly.
heard that term, but I love it
I
because
love
that's
it
kind of
too.
what it is.
When you hold it up, it looks like a spider web of butter is essentially inside.
But you
that
added
steak,
no
and
butter when you were cooking, which
No.
I know is a kind of a hack or a trick at a
when
lot
we
of
did the
steakhouses.
tomahawk, we just did that completely
Right.
a
Just-
naked
oh, just
tomahawk,
naked.
no seasoning. But when you add this delicious bay blue
Yeah, you
cheese,
just get
and
the
you
real
can see
knife, don't you?
the amazing molding in this. That's all the flavor that you need.
That's not gonna work.
Great
I'm
using my
creaminess, great salty
But-
flavor, just unreal. And that's all you're going to need
There
for
are
your steak
people
right
who
there.
would say, I don't like blue cheese, or I don't like those type of cheeses.
Yes, sir.
It's got nothing to
Slices
do
up
with
the
what
crowd.
this tastes like now that you put it on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, absolutely.
This
100%.
brings out the flavor. It's not as if you were
Jack can
just
do it.
eating a blue cheese.
You're speaking exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Jack, we
sir.
got to
I,
share some of this with our guests in house today. Do you mind bringing that back to the board and maybe just slicing it into some smaller pieces?
Nothing would make me
All
happier
right,
than
guys,
letting
'cause
everybody try this.
Our guests have
This
got
is
to try
absolutely
this incredible
perfect. Yes.
steak today.
Let me get another
just-
glove here.
Just fabulous. If you're watching at home, go ahead
Thank you, sir.
and take a bite of that juicy, rich beef and partner it with the Petite Sirah. That's what I'm about to do right now. And
You have some of them?
I do.
that Petite Sirah has the energy essentially to help cleanse some of that richness off the palate. We love the way a great steak tastes, but that weight of that beef butter, as Jack called it, his term, not mine, you can feel that sitting heavy. And boy, that Petite Sirah comes through and just pulls it off and cleans the room on our palate so that that next bite can come in and have all those wonderful flavors.
And it goes with our wine jelly. Beef butter, wine jelly. I gotta be as cool as Jack.
That's got to be a great sandwich right there.
You know what's interesting? I just took the Wagyu beef filet mignon into the crowd, and of all the people here today, only one person doesn't eat meat. You know, you run into a lot of people, oh, I don't eat meat. I don't,
very
you know
true.
what? Everybody was like,
are
just
they
clamoring,
being
yes, I want to
escorted
try, I
out?
want to try.
We must have visitors from outside of California.
If you don't mind, I'm going to indulge the crowd.
Yeah, that's great, Jack. Take it and
Please
introduce
do.
yourself to our guests, Jack.
Tobias going to follow you in with the camera. Wait, they need some napkins.
They do need some napkins.
Sorry
This
to
is great.
interrupt.
This is great.
What's up, y'all?
You know, the home has so many great
My blue
experiences
cheese
here at
ribeye.
Frank Family Vineyards. I've been a part
Tomahawk.
of
I don't
so
know if
many
you guys are
wonderful
steak
times
fans or
sharing
not, but
wine
this is
with
my
people. And
blue cheese
just
tomahawk.
again to say it, I'm so
I'm
looking
glad
forward
you
to
guys
seeing
are
all
here,
of our
man.
guests
Thank
back.
you. Yes, exactly.
Daytime, and then as
There you
we
go.
open up for some of our
Anytime.
evening
You bet.
events coming up shortly, that's just going to be wonderful. Bob, good. How's everything tasting on your end?
I'm having a fabulous time sitting here at minimum wage, enjoying my steak
Bob,
and my Pinot, and it doesn't get better than this.
no
let me
sir.
tell you.
We've often joked around the property when Bob and Kelly Kerrigan are here that Bob runs personal security for Rich Frank, and he does a fabulous job at
My
it.
favorite line is to
protected
walk
all the
up to somebody and say, could you take a step back? Mr. Frank doesn't like to be that close.
Now you can say it's because of COVID. You can just say it's a COVID thing, all right? 6 feet, please. It's a COVID thing.
He actually manages to embarrass me every time he opens his mouth.
That's what a good friend is for, Rich, right? That's what we do.
The director of humility.
Where are they at? Are they they're just roaming the property, hitting anyone they can? Is that with is our camera today with that roving group? All right, Dynamite. Well,
Dynamite.
all
Well,
right.
then let's keep reloading.
let's keep reloading.
let's
A
keep
little bit
the-
more steak for me, a little bit more wine for me. Todd, when Petite Sirah ages,
Yes.
what are you looking at? And how does that wine? We know a great
so-
Cabernet Sauvignon is so fabulous for aging, but as the Petite Sirah moves on,
Great question. It's so big and rich right now, but as it ages 20 years, it almost gets Burgundian-like versus Rhone-like. And then this is when you do that big rib of lamb roast on one of these, probably.
but
on a
slower,
green
right?
egg.
Slower and lower.
And then a 20-year-old Petite with some lamb would be fantastic, almost Burgundian-like.
Man, so softer,
Yeah, it's
earthier.
softer. Yeah.
You get the. I remember when I started here, Petite Sirah, got my nose in it, and almost got this note of almost like, and this, I don't want to say this and have it come across, but like road tar. You got those petroleum undertones. Just a very rich earthiness. I love that smell.
Little ripeness, but this was so well balanced. This is going to go almost Burgundian.
Man, that is great. We do have here at the winery a little bit of a stash, a bit of a cellar collection, some library.
It's another technical
Petite Sirah.
term, stash.
A stash, yeah, a stack and a stash. That's
Yeah,
how we like to refer to our
slug
wines
of
here.
this.
Yeah, just give me a stash of it.
Watch how we use stash now. Todd, talk a little bit about the tannins, because we have two different wines that are very big, and to me, the tannins come across differently in these two wines.
So
maybe you could talk about what you're trying to accomplish with each relative to the taste of tannins in the wine.
So we'll talk about all three too, because there's a little tannin in the white wine and the sparkling wine, but the white wines have a lot less. All the tannins and the phenolic compounds are either in the skins or the seeds or the stems. Well, we're getting rid of the stems, so we don't have to deal with that. For the white wines, we're pressing without the seeds, and we're getting the juice without the skins or the seeds. So we're getting very, very little phenolics here. With Cabernet Sauvignon versus Petite Sirah, Petite Sirah's skin is so thick, it has much more tannin compounds in it. So with the same amount of winemaking, you just extract more substance, phenolics, tannins from the Petite Sirah. That's just the natural of the variety. It's not winemaking, and that's just agriculture, nature. And the Cabernet is a much more balanced wine, where Petite Sirah, you have to work with a gentle hand, because if you treated the Petite Sirah like you did the Cabernet, you might not be able to drink that for 50 years. So you have to balance that. You just need to know what the grape gives and then how to extract it without over-extract. I mean, anybody can put on a fire. Anybody can make rare and overdone.
Correct.
I can do that. Everybody here can do raw and overcooked.
It's about dialing in.
It takes a special person to do just right.
Timing is everything.
And that's how the wines are made. We call it balance here. I can over extract it. I can pick grapes super green or overripe. I can pick raisins, but that's not what we're here to do. We're trying to pick grapes at the perfect timing, just like Jack was trying to pull the steaks off with perfect timing.
It's very, very key, and it's very essential, and that's one thing I've always prided myself on, and that's just why you got to stay laser focused on it, because 1 degree, 2 degrees, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Similar to the wines,
Yeah.
you know, an extra day can make a difference.
Oh,
you know, so
100%. And that's why you're over the top of that thing. At the end of the day, you smell like smoke. And at the end of the day, I'm covered in dust.
there's a lot worse things you can smell like than the barbecue. So
Let's talk about that.
I'll take that all day long. You know, as far as,
and I'm covered in dust at the end of the day because I'm on the vineyard.
and we go home loving what we
It's
do,
smiling.
and that we know we put some smiles on people's faces, and that's what it's all about.
Do you have the problem I have? You take a shower at night and you see your tan go down the drain. You think you're tan, but it's not tan. It's dirt.
It's just the dirt.
I've seen that happen. I wonder what's happening to me, but no, it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. You watch your tan go down the drain.
It happens to the best of us, but don't worry. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, I've been out in the crowd handing out the pieces of steak, and it's a big hit.
It's a big hit.
It's a big hit.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying no to that. They've all been sitting here for the last hour, smelling that great smoked flavor of the beef, and it's just, and sitting there tasting the Frank family's, you know, variety of Cabernets and other red wines, and it's just pairing so well, and it's what a perfect way to spend a Saturday afternoon.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
thank you so much to everybody for tuning in today. Happy 4th of July. We're so grateful to be open again, to have people here again, to have our staff here again, to not be wearing masks. We're all vaccinated. We're happy about that. The world has gotten back to a little bit of normal in our lives, and it feels very good. So,
And let's be happy and proud of the country that we live
exactly.
in.
Yes.
That's
That
right.
lets
Exactly.
us all do this, that lets us live our lives the way we want.
Correct.
Right.
And we are unbelievably the luckiest people in the world, and we should remember that every day.
Right.
Nothing
And
feels
I
better
didn't
than
get
being
a
a proud
chance
American.
I didn't get a chance
Good.
to introduce Kelly Kerrigan, who is
you.
our
Cheers,
brand
Jack.
ambassador
Great run.
and our
Yeah.
Southwest
Great
region,
job.
Cheers,
who
sir.
made the
Thank you
trip here today, who introduced us to Jack Arnold.
Right.
And we're very grateful for that. So for all of you at home, have a safe and happy 4th of July. To my friends and family in Canada, I love you, and I missed July 1st, and I miss you because I can't get up to Canada, your damn Prime Minister. Open the borders, Trudeau. Open the borders. I need to see my family. But on another note, we love all of our wine club members and all of you for tuning in today. So cheers, happy 4th of July, and we will see you next time. And special thanks to Jack.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack. Fabulous
Thank
food.
you,
Thank you for
everybody.
being our
Thank you,
guest.
Frank family. Best weekend we could ever ask for. Cheers. Thank you so
Happy
much.
4th of July, folks. Cheers, everybody.